There are places in eastern Kentucky where the woods don't just grow, they watch. Places where the trees lean in, where the light fades faster than it should, where even the birds seem to know when to be quiet. And if you grew up in those hollers, you learned early. Not everything in the mountains is meant to be seen, and not everything that sees you wants to be known. Tonight's story comes from Knott County, from the back roads along Caney Creek, from a time when men rode horses to deliver mail, and the woods still held their breath when someone passed through. This is a story of a man who saw something he was never meant to see, and the warning that came with it. They call it the Elf Shot of Knott County. Welcome to Kentucky Melody, where we bring you the dark legends, hidden history, and eerie stories of Kentucky, Appalachia, and beyond. If you enjoyed true mountain folklore and the kind of stories that feel too old to be forgotten, make sure you're subscribed, because some things in these hills never left. Back in the early 1900s, before paved roads and mailboxes, there was a man in Knott County named Tom Field. Tom was a mail carrier, not in a truck, not in a wagon, on horseback. Every morning before sunrise, he'd saddle up and ride the ridges and hollers, carrying letters to families scattered across the mountains. Some of those homes didn't have addresses, just names. Everybody knew Tom, and everybody trusted him. He was quiet, steady, reliable, the kind of man who didn't exaggerate and didn't scare easy. And his horse. That horse was as sure-footed as they come. Together, they'd ridden the same routes for years. Until the evening, everything changed. It was late fall, the kind of evening when the sun drops fast and the cold starts creeping out of the ground. Tom had finished his route and was heading home along a narrow stretch of trail near Caney Creek. The woods were thick on both sides. No houses, no farms, just trees. That's when he noticed something strange. The woods had gone. Quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind in the leaves. Just silence. The kind of silence that presses in on your ears. Then, off to his right, near the tree line, something moved. Not big, not human, small, fast, low to the ground. He caught just a glimpse of it between the trunks, and what stood out was the hair. Bright red, not brown, not auburn, red, like copper in firelight. It darted through the trees like it wasn't touching the ground. And before Tom could speak, before he could even turn his head fully, his horse screamed. Not a whinny, not a snort, a scream. The horse reared up, nearly throwing Tom, then crashed down on one knee, legs shaking like they'd given out. Tom jumped off, heart pounding, thinking snake bite, thorn, hidden trap. But there was no blood, no wound, no sign of injury, just pain. The horse wouldn't put weight on its front leg, just stood there trembling, eyes wide, breath fast. That's when Tom saw something in the dirt, a small glint between the leaves. He knelt down and brushed them aside, and there it was, a tiny stone point, an arrowhead. No shaft, no feathers, just the head, sharp, perfect, old, an Indian arrowhead, lying in the middle of the trail, where no one should have been hunting, and that's when his grandmother's words came back to him. Words every mountain child heard at some point. If you ever see one of the little people, don't speak, don't follow, and if you find their arrow, you best keep it. Because in the mountains, that's not just an arrow, that's an elf shot. Old folks in Knott County said the little people weren't fairies with wings. They were something else. Short, fast, quiet. They lived in caves, in rock walls, in deep woods no one goes into anymore. And when you crossed their ground, or disturbed something you weren't meant to, they shot, not to kill, to warn. Animals struck by elf shot would go lame. People struck by elf shot would fall sick or lose their minds. And once you were hit, you were noticed. Tom didn't finish his route that day. He led his horse home on foot, every step heavy, every shadow feeling closer than it should. He said later that he felt watched the whole way, like something was pacing him through the trees. That night, he took the Arrowhead and nailed it above his front door. Didn't explain, didn't talk, just did it. And his horse, by morning, was fine. No limp, no pain, no swelling, like nothing had ever happened. After that, Tom refused to ride that stretch of trail, wouldn't go near that bend in the woods. When people asked why, he'd just say, "That place ain't right." Years later, he told his niece something she never forgot. He said, "There are people in these mountains that ain't people, and there are old paths you best not cross, even if they look open." He never described the red-haired thing again. Wouldn't, but he carried that arrowhead in his pocket for the rest of his life. And along Caney Creek, people still say there's a stretch of woods where animals won't graze, where dogs won't go, where kids get uneasy for no reason. And sometimes, just at dusk, they say you can see something move low to the ground. Fast, red, gone. The old folks in Knott County still say, if you find an arrowhead where no man could have shot it, don't throw it away. Don't give it away. And for God's sake, don't follow where it points. Because some shots aren't meant to miss. They're just meant to let you know you've been seen. Now, here's what we want to know. Do you believe the little people still walk these mountains? Or do you think Tom Field just stumbled into something he didn't understand? And if you were riding alone and saw red hair moving in the trees, would you follow it? Or would you turn back? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoy these deep Appalachian legends, the kind that blur history and horror, make sure you're subscribed to Kentucky Melody. And to our members, the ones who help keep these old stories alive, thank you. Your support lets us keep digging into the forgotten hollers, the whispered warnings, and the legends that never quite died. We'll keep bringing you stories from Kentucky, Appalachia, and beyond. Because some darkness doesn't care about state lines. And, as always, be careful where you wander, because some places don't forget.